I've been making an effort lately to keep up with what anime are currently airing, and that's caused me to leave my normal area of sword hitty shows, which gave me the opportunity to give Bocchi the Rock, the newest anime from Studio Cloverworks. You know, the studio that makes sure there's always a pink-haired anime girl trending. Well, this plan of keeping up with the times made me give it a shot, and this go-around is about a girl in a band that has severe social anxiety as she tries to overcome the personal hellscape of the outside world. A character that has had everyone in unison go, actually me. But this anime oozes creativity and charm even compared to the source material manga, helped by all the passion that was put into this production to make it the best it could be. And you know what? I am so glad I was able to keep up with everyone else and become more connected to the anime community. Like before, I used to watch shows that were months if not like years old, and now here I am, caught up with the pack watching a show that came out in... came out in October. Do you know what humiliation feels like? Cause I do now. Honestly, I just want to be as invisible as possible. Well, I also like to document things. Bocchi the Rock, Bocchi the Dropped in 2017, and it follows our lead, Hitori Goto, nicknamed Bocchi, who's an incredibly introverted girl as she tries to tackle fear and anxiousness she feels from very average things in really funny ways. Her initial motivation is that she wants to be in a band to feel noticed and make friends because she's never really got to experience that stuff before, and... Oh wow, this premise is sounding a lot more sad than it should be. I swear this is a comedy, but the series takes place in a club called Starry, which is where Bocchi and the rest of her band members work, and along with her unhinged nature were creative choices to intentionally set the manga apart from the anime manga series K-On!, which popularized the hell out of the cute girls doing cute things subgenre, which wasn't a bad idea because trying to make a moe show about girls in a band without people going, oh yeah, K-On! Is an uphill battle. But it turned out to be a great idea because the trials that come with taking place in a live house as opposed to a school club and Bocchi's social anxiousness are what the show really builds a lot of its quality off of. Here, I think this Venn diagram kinda summarizes what I'm trying to say. I say this a lot, but Bocchi the Rock lives and dies by the quality of its primary cast, meaning those who make up the Kosoku band. Which is a pun in Japanese, which is a product of an issue we can get to in a second. We don't really see any of them without Bocchi, but they manage to not revolve around Bocchi personality-wise. I like how the characters very clearly have their own lives when not on screen, or they experience non-screen relevant life stuff. Well, all of them except our main character, Hitori Goto, which you may know her as Bocchi the Rock from the hit show Bocchi the Rock. If you've seen anyone, it'd be her. Oh, her or maybe Nijiki Ijichi in that weirdly fluid animation of her waving and walking away. But Bocchi's our titular character who we exclusively follow as she tries to overcome her social phobia so she can make friends for like the first time in her life. Most of the comedy in this comedy show is centered around her and this problem of going down hypothetical rabbit holes on the worst case scenario or just surreal imagery, which surprisingly never gets old. But if you are hoping there were more characters, boy do I have excellent news for you, we got other band members to talk about! Like the before mentioned Nijika Ichiji, who's the one that really gathered all the band members together. Music's in her family, specifically with her sister who was originally in a band but opened up Starry, which is a live house the series takes place in. She serves as like the complete opposite of Bocchi, at least in this political compass meme I found. Okay, you can stop me from writing stupid things, but you can't stop me from thinking them. She's the leader, the drummer, and the reason why the band really has a venue to play at in the first place. If there's something important that happens involving the management of Kosoku band, chances are she's behind it somehow. Even recruiting half the band with Bocchi and Ryo. Ryo being our next member, I know we can appreciate that smooth transition. Thank you, thank you. But she is the bassist, and a realistic one, you know, because she's covered in red flags like most real bassists. She has experience being in a band, but ditched it when they wanted to sell out and go mainstream. Introverted by choice, she reads a lot of the comedic bits for wanting to, ironically enough, sell out different aspects of the band to turn a profit. It's a lovely detail and a fantastic lesson for artists and creatives. A good artist will vow to never sell out. A great one knows the price they are willing to sell out for. Last but not least is Ikio Kita, who does the singing and a bit of guitar. She is truly the opposite of Bocchi, being a positive person at any given moment, even having her optimism and high energy break the fourth wall at times, and we can get to that in a second. I really like how Kita's character was handled. They didn't go the obvious route and have her be like at odds with Bocchi from Bocchi's perspective. They have a wholesome dynamic where Kita wants to support Bocchi and help her, which is nice. Oh, and according to the wiki in her end theme, also in certain blocks of episodes, each character gets their own end theme performed by the voice actress of each character. But apparently she raises her index finger and it looks like she's flipping off the camera. I think that's funny and it's also trivia, so my application for Family Feud's in the mail now. But we can get to more trivia later. Let me put this there and... Oh. This is embarrassing. Ooh. Oh no. Oh no. You know what? No. We are problem solvers. We can fix... Oh, that's not good. You know, let's just start hitting these. Character designs. They have faces. Oh, I was supposed to go shopping after this. How am I even supposed to talk about...
Faco said he had something important to talk about. I should really go see what that's about. He seems so deep in thought. Should I bother him?
Oh, perfect. I've been waiting for you to get here. Now... I can explain to you the surreal sense of humor in Bocchi the Rock.
Why?
Most of the show falls into a standard display of animation, not in a bad way, but every once in a while there's a joke, mostly a connection to Bocchi reacting to a normal thing in an exaggerated way, that just breaks the medium of animation.
I'm sorry, I don't think I follow.
I forgive you. Anyway, the show will do cutaway jokes using animation or film methods that aren't traditionally seen in anime. Well, I definitely haven't seen it before. Oh, you maybe want to take notes on this, by the way. Like, there are parts where Bocchi will panic, and that will be displayed with her as a T-posing 3D model that gets flung in Blender. Claymation are like someone's actual hand counting down, and it keeps the possible joke fresh because of surreal ways Bocchi's feelings get displayed, which almost always got a laugh out of me. I don't think I've ever seen a show pull something similar.
So like Courage?
Huh?
Like Courage the Cowardly Dog?
Not every comedy punchline is a cutaway though. We do have punchlines that keep going with the scene and always feel a lot more sudden, keep the pacing of the scene going, and it's just super hilarious. How nonchalant it can be at times. Because it'll be a normal scene, people are sitting around talking about, you know, whatever teenage girls talk about in Japan. I don't know, I've never been invited to those meetings. But someone will mention something that can be such microscopic in terms of importance, and then Bocchi just blows up, or she'll crumble to dust or melt or have her face reconstructed and the characters just treat it like it's a completely normal occurrence. That said, not every joke was a winner when I watched it due to not knowing common cultural information from Japan. I took the liberty of vocalizing the show, that way we can all enjoy it the same amount. Look! Bigfoot. What a hoot! One of my favorite unspoken aspects of this series is how down to earth every real moment is compared to the bombastic, anxiety-driven reactions to the proposition of those moments occurring. To elaborate, Bocchi's panic is hilariously animated and so full of exaggerated detail, even going off-model to show how reality-breaking this fear is for her. But when the time comes to actually experience whatever's happening, it looks so normal, it's like a completely different show, and that feels very representative of how preemptive panicking truly can be. Your mind goes through so many hypotheticals that just make no logical sense, but when it comes time to do the thing, it's just normal, it's just life. No one's gonna boo or throw things at you when you're on stage. It's gonna feel as uneventful and normal no matter who's doing it. Except for me. When I first watched the show, I wasn't sure if it was an anime original series or what, because just how in love with motion-based mediums this production seemed to be. And I was surprised to find out that not only is it a manga, you know, one of those lame not moving picture things, but a simple 4-komo one, or a 4-cell, which is a manga style that mostly does away with complex panel structure and puts things in boxes. But the punchlines in the manga are still there, and are still the same, though dialed back a bit. It gives Bocchi the Rock the interesting situation of a manga that couldn't get a proper anime adaptation, and an anime that doesn't feel like it could have a source material. Though I will say the anime is stronger. Tokyo Ghoul fans, eat your heart out. No, wait, that wasn't supposed to be a pun. But we have a manga that is so untethered to anything other than exactly how it wants to be, references to other media and all that. And the anime takes that energy and just bolts with it. The reason why I feel like the anime is better is how it elevates what happens in the manga. Well, I feel like it's probably the most important example for a music anime. In the manga, concerts are just normal scenes drawn like the rest. Of course, in a literary sense, they have a lot at stake because they're trying to make it as a band. Only so much can be done with a scene that involves music. Like, let's be fair here. There's nothing in here except for flat pictures. Huh? But the production of this anime turned what were just titles for flavor text into actual songs with actual lyrics and actual performances, and they are so good! And it's just that bit of extra effort in the way the characters performing is approached, it just feels so immersive. When Kusoku Band is performing, they aren't jumping around and dancing because of how much of their focus is going into actually playing the music. That said, each character is displaying a fair amount of their personality. Like how Bocchi is mostly looking down at her guitar, or how Kita is visibly outgoing almost to contrast Bocchi. But these injections of personality don't take away from the fact that these characters are inexperienced musicians trying their best. And one of the details I like, at least for the concerts, requires a little bit of an explanation. So each song featured in Bocchi the Rock, and also some songs that weren't featured, have released under the label of Kusoku Band, which is already just adorable. But what's not there are the versions that are performed in the live show segments of the anime, like when Bocchi plays a solo to unify everyone, or when she does that slide bottle solo at the school festival. That's because in live shows, unexpected things can happen that require improvisation from band members. And even if it's a better version of the song, like if the song That Band is legitimately better lived the solo, I almost prefer it not be streamable because that's a quirk of live performances that they managed to keep in an anime. And it's this thoughtful, considerate approach about musicians that makes it super relatable to musicians. Now first, let me admit, I don't really have this connection to Bocchi the Rock, so I reached out to people who did that whole music thing to see how they connect to the series. Because the only way I could connect with my musical experience is if a Guitar Hero track just randomly popped up in the middle of a concert. But so many different musicians had different things that connected them to the series. Like people who've done performances feel like those off stage in the crowd are hostile or judging you, or music lovers being embarrassed when they try to share their taste, or apparently the animation to instruments is done fairly accurately. God, where are those channels that like reveal what songs are actually being played? And it's not just musicians that can relate here. It's probably a pretty widespread experience to think, me. I think Bocchi the Rock is a perfect example of a show that is meant to be related to. And not in a, oh wow, Bocchi's literally me, I too have pink hair, wear a pink tracksuit, and go through the bad ending of a cyberpunk video game every time I try to make an Instagram. I think it's in a way that's a little bit more intentional. Here, let me elaborate. In my opinion, I think Bocchi the Rock is a show that you're supposed to see yourself in. But Bocchi or any other characters aren't 100% of the time going to be like you but in anime. At least I hope that's not true for the person that has to be drunk to be happy. I swear this is a comedy anime. But rather than relating to a character, the primary case being specifically Bocchi, I feel like most people, and speaking from my experience here, relate to the moments that's happening to her. Like even the people that answered my music question, they had specific stories they connected with, and I genuinely believe that's a common experience among most of the people who say the show is relatable. Whether that was intentional or not, I feel like it makes the series so much better because there's always something for everyone to connect to. Maybe a bad judgment call, or maybe you didn't know how to say no to someone, or hell, maybe you do completely relate to her in a lot of different ways, and in that case, I'm glad. Go to therapy, but I'm glad you have that connection. But I also really like that Hitori, I'm sorry, I'm just really tired of saying Bocchi. Her loneliness, that entire bit isn't because of some form of hostile bullying or anything of that sort. Because there doesn't need to be an evil cause for loneliness, because in a lot of cases, loneliness is evil enough by itself. Like, people like Hitori. No one dislikes her or ultimately finds her weird. She's just quiet, and that's a great way to handle a character that's introverted or socially anxious. Because let's be honest, if she just vibed by herself and was talked about, well then she wouldn't be socially anxious, she would be right. Which the one thing worse than being anxious is being anxious and correct. I adore this show. There are so many details that I can't even properly wrap my head around, and it feels like no matter how deep I try to dive, I just keep finding more. Like how the voice actresses had a podcast called Bocchi the Radio, and apparently the lead voice actress learned Indonesian and English through Among Us. And not only that, in my digging I found out this glitched out scream jokes audio was completely unedited. And I feel like that, on top of the characters being the performers as well, is probably why despite how popular the show is, there isn't a dub for it at the time of writing. I will keep a comment at the bottom and we'll update it if this part of the video becomes outdated. But the synergy and the intentional feeling of Bocchi, I just feel like it can't be handled as well shifted over unless they wanted to put more resources into it than, let's be honest, English dub companies even want to put into a production. That aside, it's a great show, a great watch, I can't recommend it enough. And most importantly, I feel like it opened a door for perfect branding. Let's face it, mental illness is in right now. So my idea for the next big mental illness project, okay, you win. You can also stop me from thinking them.